providing unique perspectives on civil preparedness and emergency response. This is Mitigation Journal, the All Hazards podcast.
And welcome back to Mitigation Journal, the All Hazards podcast. This is our 4-part series on emergency incident rehabilitation for cold weather situations. My name is Rick Rosati. Thanks for joining us here. This is part 3 in that series with special guest Dr. Jeremy Cushman, the Monroe County Medical Director here in the Monroe-Livingston Regional EMS System in Rochester, New York. Today we're going to be discussing specifically the importance of pre-habilitation or pre-Hab for keeping yourself fit and ready to go to work and making emergency incident rehabilitation much more effective. Thanks again for joining us. Let's get on with part 3 in our 4-part series on emergency incident rehab for cold weather operations. Dr. Cushman, let's shift gears a little bit. Having this little synopsis of cold weather rehab, and again, we're in a climate where we're changing all the time. We need to think of these changes, but one thing that really seems to remain a constant is not just doing rehab, but now thinking about pre-Hab. Keeping our people fit and ready to go to work, whether they're on duty or off duty, to handle the changing environment that we're going to be putting them in. Can you give us a little discussion on the need for physical conditioning and prehabilitation?
So, this is truly a topic worthy of a couple more podcasts, actually, because this is truly an ounce of prevention is worth that pound of cure, and so by having prehab as you nicely coin. It truly goes beyond trying to refrain from caffeinated beverages while on duty, and hydrating before every training exercise, and getting in the habit of even necessarily hydrating before a significant work event. But an all too slowly but certainly increasing trend around fire departments around the country of having a physical fitness program in place, and bringing in either trainers or equipment or whatnot to help design programs that are completely firefighter friendly. And by that I mean programs that you can do half a dozen reps and then go out on a job and come back, and you're not going to completely lose the benefit of that workout. But concentrating on cardiovascular fitness, because again I go back to what I opened with, that cardiovascular disease is the killer of our responders. It's not structural collapses in a structure fire, and to me that's preventable. In fact, if you look at the most recent data from a couple of years ago, I would argue almost 70 to 75% of firefighter deaths are preventable. Close to 60% of those are related to cardiovascular disease, and the rest are related to motor vehicle accidents, many of which unfortunately are probably preventable with safe driving practices. So as you said, Rick, the importance of prehab, not just minutes before the bell rings, but year-round, does two things. Obviously, number one, it increases our physical fitness and therefore our tolerance for exertional loads while on the fire ground, which means, number one, that I'm going to get more work out of that firefighter over a unit period of time, as well as significantly lowering their risk of cardiovascular disease. The other is those that are in better shape, again, are more heat tolerant. Being overweight, so even 10% over their ideal body weight, is sufficient to at least double, if not triple in some cases, their inability to lose heat. So obviously, those that are more overweight have more difficulty dissipating heat, which means they're at greater risk for heat-related symptoms.
And the sidebar that I'd add to that is the mental capacity. We know when we deal with cold environments, if we're exposed for prolonged periods to cold, it can impact our mental functioning, decision making, and tight muscles don't work so well.
Absolutely.
In the cold, especially. And
absolutely.
It's never really made sense to me. I've never been able to get my arms around why today, with everything we know about fitness and the culture in the fire service, being a more fitness-minded culture today than it was when I started in 1987, why we still can't get people to treat their bodies the same way they do on duty as they do off duty, or vice versa, to take good care of yourself when you're not working. It just doesn't make sense that you're going to treat your body one way when you're off duty and expect it to perform at the level that the American firefighter needs it to perform at when you're on duty. I just can't reconcile that in my mind. And once again, thank you for joining us here on part 3 of this series on cold weather emergency incident rehabilitation. Special thanks to Dr. Jeremy Cushman, the medical director from Monroe County here in Rochester, New York, for joining me on this program. Next week, we'll follow up with part 4, concluding our process in emergency incident rehabilitation for cold weather operations, with including weather changes for your incident action plan and pre-planning process. Until then, this is Rick Rosati for Mitigation Journal, the All Hazards podcast, reminding you to support all your emergency service bloggers and podcasters, and stay safe, everyone.